Okay, this is a Toshiba VHS video recorder, model V-77B, which I've just picked up from a charity shop. I paid £18 for it, which I admit is quite a lot of money for something like this, but I was just immediately struck by the styling of it. I just think it's really nice. I love this 1980s square box, almost utilitarian look. I mean, there's absolutely no curves on this thing at all. It's all, well, apart from the tracking and sharpness knobs, obviously, but it's all square edges, it's all right angles. And the recessed tape slot as well, I just think it's an absolutely lovely thing. And also this front flap, normally they have like a little plastic flange that holds them closed, but this has got a proper magnetic catch, which obviously can never break. So that's really nice. And also, it's not completely opaque. The top half of this is translucent, so even when it's closed, you can still see the controls behind there. I think it's just a really nice object. Not expecting it to work. It wasn't sold to me as working, it was sold to me as untested, so I'm guessing it's probably going to need belts, possibly an idler, possibly a pinch roller. I think actually some of the early Toshiba VHS machines were actually clones of JVC machines. I don't know if this is a clone or if this is an original Toshiba design. Perhaps you can let me know if you know any better. Hopefully we'll get it working, but I think first thing I'll do is plug it in and see if it powers up. There might be a mains filter capacitor or two in there, so we might get some fireworks when we plug it in, but let's just plug it in and give it a try. I should also point out I have had a look inside the plug prior to about sort of 1992ish in the UK. Any appliance you bought wouldn't come with a fitted plug on it. You just have bare ends and you'd be expected to put your own plug on. So whoever bought this originally would have fitted this plug. So I normally just have a quick look in there and just make sure there's no horrors in there, and there isn't in this case. It's absolutely fine, so no worry about plugging that in. So let's just plug it straight in and see if we get any clock display. I'll just turn that around a bit more so you can see a bit better. We have a clock lit up. That probably suggests the power supply is okay. Let's turn it on. Yeah, we've got a channel number display there. Okay, let's see if we can set the clock. How do we set the clock? That says set. Oh, here we go. So it's Thursday. It's 2022, near enough. So how do we... There we go. That's the clock set. So, shall we pop a tape in, or shall we have a look inside first? I think we should probably have a little look inside first. I'll leave it powered up while I take it to bits. There's no evidence that anyone's been in here before me, which is a good thing, so probably nobody's mucked about in here. There's 2 screws on that side, probably 2 on this side. Now, are there any on the back? No, so that should just lift off now. There we go. We've got a big circuit board in the way of the tape transport. I'll leave it powered up, but I'll just turn it off to standby. And quite a lot of dust in the power supply. Goodness me. So it looks to me like this board will just hinge up. Whoops. Let's just check that screw isn't different. It is actually, so that central screw is slightly longer. These will probably be different because they're going into metal thread, so they're going to be a fine thread. Let's see if this hinges up. Oh, there's a catch there. Hopefully we can see the... Yeah, that's better, we can see the mechanism. Does that latch up there in any way? No, it doesn't seem to. Let me see. No, that doesn't appear to latch in position. I'll just pause at that point while I figure out a way of propping that board out of the way. Okay, I've powered the machine down and I've propped the board out of the way just with a pencil, just so you can see what we're doing. I can immediately see there's a belt there that's gone slack, so that will obviously need to be replaced. But we've got a big screening plate here which we're going to have to remove to be able to see anything more of the mechanism, so I think that's just one screw there. Oh, that's quite fiddly to get out. Now hopefully that will allow this screening can to come off. Yes, there we are. Oh, there we are. Head spins nice and freely. The idler, it feels a bit stiff, but how does that feel? That actually feels quite good, that idler. I think that's okay. Pinch roller is a bit grubby, but basically okay, I think. Oh, look at that flywheel there. There's a bit of muck on the side of the head drum, which we can just clean off with a bit of isopropyl alcohol. That's not going to be a problem. But apart from that belt, which is obviously not going to be any good, that actually all looks pretty good in there. I'm tempted now to power it up and shove a tape in and see what happens. Let's make sure that pencil isn't... No, that's propped against a grounded plate there, and it's insulated at that end anyway, so I think that's fine. We can run it like that. So let's power up. We have clock. Let's turn on. Okay, now stupidly I've put the screws down on my test tape, which is a bit of a daft thing to do, so let's clear my test tape off. And moment of truth. Oh, what a lovely mechanism. Right, first thing I'm going to try is fast forward, because if I try and load the tape and then it can't spool it back into the case to eject, I'm going to end up with a tangled tape. So I'm going to try fast forward first. Oh yeah, that's just running that motor and it's not able to turn that pulley. So yeah. Oh, and the machine's shut down, which is hardly surprising. What's it trying to do now? I haven't pressed play. I just turned it back on. Head drum's spinning though. It's probably... I know what it is. It's because I've got too much light on it. Let's try turning this light off. But take up is working. Take up reel was turning then, so if we can get it to thread, it should be quite safe, because it will then be able to pull the tape back into the cassette shell to eject it, hopefully. So if I dim the light down a bit, hopefully it'll be a bit happier. That's still not, is it? Still not happy. I'm just going to interrupt myself at this point to say that I did figure out what was going on here. When I was fiddling about with that small belt at the back of the deck, I had rotated the pulley slightly so the deck was just a little bit in the laced up position. So when I powered the machine on, it was trying to fully unlace the tape, and when it found that it couldn't, it was just shutting down. So I just rotated that pulley back slightly in the other direction, so the deck was then in the fully unlaced position, and it was then happy and allowed me to eject the tape. Should we have a look underneath? That's probably not a bad thing to do. Okay, so I folded that circuit board back down and just temporarily put the screws back in. I've flipped the machine over so we can have a look in the bottom, take the bottom panel off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 screws there, all identical, luckily. It looks like that because it's under a flange there, so I think it needs to slide forward and then lift off. There we are. There's the... I can immediately see another belt that needs replacing. That belt looks like it's just stuck to the spindle of that motor, and it's gone all horrible anyway. So there's another obvious belt that needs replacing. How are we gonna? I think actually that's started to go gooey, so I think while I'm in here I will actually get this out, even though I don't yet have a replacement belt to go in there. I'm just going to get it out now so it doesn't do any damage. In fact, I'm not quite sure. Oh, it's completely stuck to this flywheel as well. I think I may have to release these screws here to get that out, because there's a spindle in the middle. So let's just undo that screw there. Well, hopefully that won't create havoc. Seems okay, and I won't remove this screw, I'll just loosen it a little. Hopefully that'll give me enough to just lift this up. Yes, there we are, and allow me to get this belt out. Oh, that's well and truly stuck. I'm going to try and get off without actually leaving any residue behind. So I want to try and pull it off very carefully. It's actually coming quite readily. Come on. Got it. Yep, that's had it. Right, let's just refit this. Make sure we get that in the right position. Oh, it can't, that's good, it can't, it notches in and can't go wrong, that's excellent. I won't do these screws up particularly tight because obviously they're going to have to come out again when I fit the new belt, so I'll really just put them, I'll just nip them up for now. That'll be plenty. Now, is the spindle clean? No, that's probably going to need a bit of cleaning with isopropyl alcohol, and I'll clean the surface on this flywheel up as well. And also I think I'll flip the machine back and remove that other belt in case that goes similarly gooey. Okay, flip the machine back over now, we're looking back in the top side again, and this is that slack belt. Although this one doesn't seem to have gone gooey, but I'm still going to remove that because it's obviously no good and I'm going to have to get a replacement anyway, so I'll just take that out just in case it suddenly decides to disintegrate and do some damage. Oh, that's had it, yeah. Yep. So, next step, order some belts, I think. I apologise for shaky cam, but I just wanted to show you all that crud that's in the power supply there. I think while I've got it open and while I'm waiting for the belts to be delivered, I'll see if I can just use some combination of an air duster or a vacuum cleaner and see if I can just blast some of that rubbish out of there. Unfortunately I could only find this cheap air duster which I got from Poundland I think, and it turned out to be absolutely useless, but it's had made a bit of an improvement in there. It's a lot better than it was anyway. Not ideal, but nevertheless we shall get some belts on order and revisit this machine. Okay, it's a couple of weeks later now and I've received the belts for this beautiful Toshiba machine. I really do like the styling of this machine. I think it's lovely. Bought them from a company called Web Spare Parts, which I've never actually used before. They look like the right ones, so let's go ahead and fit them. I've put the machine back together just so I don't lose anything really, so I won't show you the disassembly again. I'll just jump straight to putting the belts in. We'll start with the easy one, which is this top belt, but before I go for it I think I will just see if I can get some of that dirt off of the motor spindle there. Not sure how much I'll be able to get off, but I'll give it a try. So I've now given both these pulleys a little bit of a clean. That one looks a lot cleaner. There's still a little bit of muck on that pulley there, but it's a lot better than it was, so I think I'm happy to go ahead and try and stick the belt in now. So let's get the new belt. Hopefully this will fit. Yeah, that looks good. Let's rotate it a bit so it sits properly into its grooves. Yep, that's all looking fine. Right, that's the easy one. Now we need to flip the machine over and do the bigger flat belt underneath. So we're now looking at the underside of the deck. The flat belt goes around this big flywheel here and then around the motor spindle here. Again, I think I'll just give both of these surfaces a bit of a clean up with isopropyl alcohol before I fit the new belt, so I shall just do that. And then we'll be ready to fit the belt. Okay, so that's cleaned up. I'm actually quite surprised with the amount of muck that came off them, because it actually looked fairly clean, but the amount of black that came off on the cotton buds was incredible. So I think the easiest way to do this is remove this screw from behind here, which you probably can't see. There's just one screw down here, which I'm taking out. I'll remove that one completely, but this one over here I'm just going to loosen, because that'll just give me enough to just shift this out of the way like that, and enable me to get the new belt on. So here is the new belt. I'm not sure if these have a correct way round. One side is slightly shinier than the other, so I'm really not sure which way around to do this, but I think we'll just have to guess. Oh, that feels nice tension. Oh, that slipped off the... There we go. That seems to be sitting on there quite nicely. It's a little bit crinkled. I think that's just where it came through the post. I'm sure that'll sort itself out. So now if we replace... Why doesn't that want to revolve? Ah, there's a bit of plastic in the way. There we are. Replace that. Look, this is a magnetic screwdriver, which I didn't know. There we go. That's not placed. There we are. So before I tighten that down, I'll just make sure that's... Yeah, that's running fine on the bearing, so we'll tighten that down. I don't think there's any need to do these super tight really, even though I'm now not anticipating needing to take them off again. I won't do them ridiculously tight. I don't think they need to be done ridiculously tight. Let's give that another spin. Yeah, that feels really nice and smooth actually. Probably could do with a little bit of extra grease on the bearing, but I think I'll just leave that. That feels fine. Right, let's reassemble the machine and give it a try. Okay, I've refitted the bottom panel and flipped the machine over. I'll keep the top panel off and the circuit board up just so we can observe the mechanism. The machine is powered up and ready to go. So I'm now going to put a tape in. Moment of truth, here we go. I'm going to try fast forward first of all. That looks absolutely fine. Let's try rewind. Oh. Yeah, rewind looks absolutely fine. Now, shall I remove this screening can before we try play? Yes, let's do that. I really should power down before I do this, but can I actually be bothered? It's just one screw. Oh no, I've undone the wrong screw actually. There's two screws down there. The one on the left hand side is the one that needs to be removed to remove this screening plate. The other one actually looks like it just holds the deck in. So I took the wrong one out there. So I'll just remove the screening can and I'll replace this screw which I just took out and didn't need to. There we are. Right. I think I'll turn off the lamp before I do this, because old VHS machines do have problems with light. So let's hit play and see what happens. Oh, it's a bit sluggish. Let's give it a bit of a hand. No, it couldn't quite finish loading, could it? And now it's shut down. I think that sounds to me like the mechanism's just all gummed up. Let's try it again, see if it frees itself up. Yes, there we go. Bit screechy, but it's running. Right, let's stop. Let's try that again. Yeah, it's basically working, isn't it? I think it's just all gummed up, just probably because it hasn't been used for 25 years. Or even more. Picture search. That's interesting, it went fast initially and then picture rewind. Seems a bit irregular. Playback seems fine though, doesn't it? Right, I think the next thing I'll try is see if I get any kind of a picture out of it. Okay, I've just put the machine back together and hooked it up to a monitor, and while I was putting it together I suddenly realised why I think the speed was erratic when I was trying picture search. I think this tape is actually recorded in long play, and it's very unlikely this machine will actually understand long play. So I think that may be why the speed was a bit irregular, but we'll see what we get out of it. It may not get anything at all. Yes, there we go. So that's, yeah, it's kind of double speed. That's because it's a long play recording. Right. Let's find another tape that's recorded in short play. Okay, let's try getting the best out of your microwave with OXO. That should be a short play recording, and it should be a fairly high quality recording, I would think. There we go.
Now the defrost setting switches power on and off in short bursts. As some parts of the food melt, the heat moves through to the colder areas while the power's off. This prevents part of the food cooking while others are still frozen. That's a real risk if you use a higher setting. Well, now we're about halfway through.
That looks really good to me.
So
Shall we try the picture search mode? Let's try picture search forward. It's a little bit erratic, isn't it? But it's working. Let's try picture rewind. Yeah, again, not brilliant, but it's working. Should we try still? Frame advance. Oh, it's the old-fashioned. Oh no, it is snapping to the frame. There we go. Oh, you unpause rather than play. So there we are. I'm going to call that a success. The Toshiba V-77. Needs a little bit more work, need to address that lubrication issue, probably need to try and get as much of the old grease off as possible as I can and replace it with new grease. Apart from that, it seems to be fundamentally working. Picture looks good, sound difficult to tell on this cheapy monitor, but it sounded fine. So yeah, I'm going to call that a success. Thank you for watching.